now in tribute and honor those two great American talented musicians, entertainers that we've just heard about. We're going to have a musical selection from Leslie McCoy. to Thurgood Marshall, led by Sean McCurtis. Sean McCurtis.
Good evening. How's everybody? Kind of dry. Why y'all put me behind him? Y'all make this real difficult. But I'm going to read to you about Thurgood Marshall. He was the first African-American Supreme Court Justice. When he tried to attend law school in Baltimore, Maryland, where he was born in 1908, Thurgood Marshall was kept out because he was an African-American. In later years, this great-grandson of a slave will be considered one of the greatest lawyers of the 20th century. In grade school and high school, Marshall was full of mischief. As punishment for misbehavior, one of his teachers made students read part of the U.S. Constitution. By the time the year was over, Marshall had read the whole thing. After high school, Marshall attended an African-American college in Pennsylvania called Lincoln University, where he waited on tables to help pay his expenses. Thurgood Marshall was rejected by the all-white University of Maryland Law School and enrolled in Howard University, an African-American school in Washington, D.C. To pay his entrance fee, his mother borrowed money in exchange for wedding and engagement rings. He paid her back by graduating first in his class. When he became a lawyer, Marshall brought a lawsuit against the University of Maryland, and the judge ordered the school to end segregation and admit black students. But his greatest victory came in 1954, when he won a case that forced all public schools to admit students of all races. Over the years, Thurgood Marshall won many other important cases. In 1967, he made history when he became the first African-American justice of the United States Supreme Court, the highest court in the country. Thank you.
Thurgood Marshall was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Like most alphas, he believed if you can't be first, why be anything? Don't worry, somebody will fill you in on that later. I can resist that. Now we have a biographical sketch of Sojourner Truth, Sarah Woodard.
We're going to have another history lesson, like his picture book of Sojourner Truth, and I did a summary of it to tell you a little bit about her life. Sojourner Truth was born near 1797 as Isabel Hardenberg. She was a slave owned by many different people until her escape in 1826. While she was a slave, she was married and had 5 children. In 1846, she planned to sojourn west to speak for God, who is truth. Thus, Sojourner Truth was born. She traveled speaking about God and freedom. During the Civil War, Sojourner Truth met with President Abraham Lincoln to discuss issues of slavery. Later, Truth regarded Lincoln as a friend. Rosa Parks was not the first African American to stand up to segregated public transportation. Near 1865, Sojourner Truth stood in the street and demanded that the streetcar allow her to ride and sit anywhere she wanted. After a legal trial, her third in which she won against a white person, the streetcars in Arlington Heights, Virginia looked like salt and pepper. Her dreams had not been fully fulfilled at her death in 1883, but she would be satisfied with our progress and tonight's celebration. In honor of Sojourner Truth, Dr. Mildred Pearson will now do a dramatic interpretation of one of Sojourner Truth's most well-known speeches called Ain't I Woman.